Imagine this: the richest 1% in the world own more than half of all global wealth. Sounds like a dystopian future, right? But it's happening right now. The gap between the wealthy and the rest of us is growing fast. In the US, the top 1% hold 40% of the country's wealth, while the bottom 90% only have 27%. But why does this happen? Is capitalism really to blame? Or is socialism the answer? In this video, we'll dive deep into the real differences between capitalism and socialism, without the usual politics talk. Forget the usual debates. We're going to look at the facts, the hidden truths, and how these systems impact your life. From billionaire CEOs to socialist experiments gone wrong, this video will challenge everything you thought you knew. Stick around to find out which system really works, and what happens when we push both too far. Chapter 1: The Myth of the Perfect System, Capitalism versus Socialism. When most people talk about capitalism or socialism, they often imagine a perfect world, where either the free market or government control runs smoothly. But here's the catch: no system is flawless. In fact, both capitalism and socialism come with their own set of flaws that are often ignored by their supporters. Capitalism is often sold as the land of opportunity, but what happens when opportunity is only available to the rich? According to a study by Oxfam, the top 1% of the global population owns more than half of the world's wealth. That's hardly a perfect world. On the other hand, socialism promises equality, but history has shown that government control doesn't always result in fairness. Think about Venezuela or the Soviet Union. These systems often collapse under the weight of centralized control. So, what is the real difference? It's about balance. Capitalism thrives on innovation, but socialism thrives on fairness. But both struggle when taken to extremes. Chapter 2: From Free Markets to Fair Markets. Where capitalism falls short, capitalism's biggest strength, free markets, can also be its greatest weakness. While competition drives innovation and economic growth, it also creates huge gaps between the rich and poor. In the US, for example, the top 10% of earners control 70% of the wealth, leaving the rest of the population to fight for scraps. Free markets don't always ensure equal access. In fact, they often stack the deck against the most vulnerable. We see it in healthcare, education, and housing markets, where the wealthy can access high-quality services, while the poor struggle. The problem is that when people's basic needs aren't met, the free market loses its appeal. A fair market, on the other hand, would focus not just on profits but on ensuring that everyone has a chance to succeed, even if it means adjusting the playing field with regulation. Chapter 3: Beyond Redistribution, How Socialism Shapes Human Motivation. Many people think socialism is just about redistributing wealth. But it's much more than that. Socialism reimagines how people work and why they work. In a capitalist system, the primary motivation is profit. But in a socialist framework, the focus shifts toward meeting human needs and creating a more cooperative society. The famous economist John Maynard Keynes once said, "The difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from old ones." Socialism aims to break away from the traditional profit motive by shifting focus to collective well-being. Studies suggest that when people are motivated by community and social good, they often produce better outcomes, even if financial rewards are limited. That's why Scandinavian countries, with their blend of socialism and capitalism, often top the happiness rankings. People feel that they're part of something greater than themselves. If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the latest videos. We'll be diving even deeper into these systems in the next chapters. Chapter 4: Corporate Giants versus the People, The Capitalist Paradox. Capitalism promises that competition will drive prosperity. But what happens when competition turns into monopolies? Big corporations often benefit from government policies that protect their dominance. Take Amazon, for example. The company has revolutionized the retail industry, but it also controls nearly 40% of the US e-commerce market. Is this the result of healthy competition? Or is it a failure of capitalism? Research shows that monopolies can stifle innovation and exploit workers. While the richest individuals in capitalist systems accumulate more wealth, many workers are left with low wages and minimal benefits. A report from the Economic Policy Institute found that in 2021, CEO pay grew 16% while worker pay increased by just 1.8%. This stark gap shows how capitalism can reward the few while leaving the many behind. Chapter 5: The Human Cost. What happens when socialism meets reality? Socialism sounds ideal on paper, but when put into practice, it can have unintended consequences. In the Soviet Union, for example, centralized planning led to widespread inefficiency and shortages. The government controlled almost every aspect of the economy, which meant people had little freedom to make their own economic choices. In the case of Venezuela, the country's shift towards socialism led to hyperinflation and a collapsing economy. The poverty rate in Venezuela shot up to 96% in recent years. These real-world examples show that socialism's goal of equality can sometimes backfire when systems of power become too concentrated. It's easy to say we need more equality, but history shows that over-centralizing power can harm the very people it aims to help. Chapter 6. Can capitalism and socialism ever coexist? The hybrid future, the question of whether capitalism and socialism can coexist is often debated. But what if the solution isn't choosing one over the other? Hybrid systems, like those in Scandinavian countries, attempt to blend the best of both worlds. These nations have capitalist markets that drive innovation and growth, but they also have strong social safety nets that provide universal healthcare, education, and affordable housing. In Denmark, for example, the government ensures that all citizens have access to high-quality healthcare, while private businesses are still allowed to thrive. The result? High levels of happiness and economic stability. It's a reminder that extremes don't always work, and balance is often the key to creating a fairer and more prosperous society. As American economist Joseph Stiglitz argues, the problem is not capitalism, the problem is unregulated capitalism. Thanks for sticking with us all the way through. If you want to dive deeper into the truth behind these systems, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us for more videos breaking down the complexities of politics and economics.